I keep finding this striated limestone on the property here, and over the past couple of weeks I've made a few knives that use this material as the handle. So today I thought I'd make a little video about how I prepare the stone for making a hidden tang handle. For this example, I'll be making up a blank for a small stone-handled dagger. The first step will be to take this to the diamond saw and start cutting a piece up into a blank for the stone knife handle. The saw I'm going to use here is a Ryobi 7-inch wet-cut diamond blade saw. It'll cut this limestone very easily. Let's start cutting a blank. With the very first cut made, we can see that the stone does have a decent striated pattern in it, so I'm going to keep going here. Let's continue cutting the stone. Well, I've now freed a blank from the stone of a good starting thickness. I've cleaned up the ends, now there's just the top and bottom face to clean up a bit. Right here is the risk of working with this material and why I started with a really thick piece. Sometimes it will split along a mud line inside the rock, but this piece is still thick enough, and then some, to make the handle that I need. So despite the fact that it's split, I can continue. Despite the fact that the initial big piece did split, I have a perfectly sized blank at this point. A hint for any of this kind of work is, be prepared to make 2 blanks, because one may well split while you're working on it. It's just the way this material is, but you can succeed with it. I've finished at the diamond saw now. The resulting blank is 5 3/8 long by 1 inch by 3/4 of an inch. As far as the length goes, for this project I only need about 3.5 inches of length, so I'm good. Because my dagger design calls for a hidden tang, I'm going to have to bore a cinder hole down this for the tang. So I'm going to mount this little piece of limestone in a 4-jaw chuck in the metal lathe, and I'm going to drill my cinder hole using drill bits that you would normally use for drilling into concrete. I went and cut this to just under 3.5 inches long, and I've also got the cinder marked on it with an axe, so I can set it up in the lathe. Little bit of a quick oddball setup here, but for what I'm doing, this'll work. I've left the 3-jaw chuck on the lathe, and I've just chucked the 4-jaw chuck into it. Not exactly a precision or proper setup by any means, but this is good enough to put a tang hole down the center of my limestone blank. So, let's get started. First, I need to cinder drill on my axe so that my first drill bit, a 5/32 carbide, will actually start cindered. Now, because limestone is soft, I can use a normal high-speed steel cindering bit. Have to go slowly so that I don't split the rock. I just need to wear it away with these operations. Wear it away to dust. Okay, at this point I have my cinder mark, so I will switch over to a drill bit. I have a 5/32 drill bit in the drill chuck. I'll start with it. Then I'll use a 3/16, and then I will finish out at 1/4 for my tang hole. I'll just show some of each step rather than the entire drilling procedure, because it does take a little while to get through here. feed has to be very slow. After about 10 minutes of careful feeding of the 5/32 drill bit, I now have a hole all the way through the center of my limestone blank, and I didn't split it. Time to switch to the 3/16 bit, start widening out the hole. I'll now drill through with the 3/16 and see what happens. I had to switch to a longer 3/16 drill bit, but I now have a 3/16 hole all the way through my blank without having split it. I'm now ready to proceed with the 1/4" drill bit. Hopefully I can finish this operation without splitting my blank. By drilling carefully, I've succeeded. I did not split my blank. And I now have a 1/4" hole all the way through the center of it. Let's take it out from the lathe and have a look. It's not the best focus here, but we can see a 1/4" hole all the way down the workpiece. Yeah, it's showing. There we go. I have a couple of lathes in my shop. I just like to point out, you know, if you're going to machine stone on a metal lathe, the dust does get around, and either use your beater lathe if you've got more than one lathe, like I do, or you're going to have to put rags over the lathe's ways and generally defend your good lathe from limestone dust getting here, there, and everywhere into it. Just a hint. Here's where I am at this point with the little stone dagger project. As we've seen, I've prepared the stone blank and drilled it for a hidden tang. I have a little piece of 01 tool steel here that will be forged out into the dagger blade. So I'll have a double-edged pointed dagger blade, and then I will have a tang that will go through the brass guard that I'll make from that, and the tang will come out the end. It will have 1/4" threads on it, and this piece will be drilled and tapped and shaped to be a butt cap that threads on. That's my plan for this little project. The only problem I have is it's about 100 degrees outside in the shade today and steaming humid, so I'm not sure I want to fire up my forge today to make the blade. But this project would be finished in 5 or 6 days' time otherwise, so it won't be long until you see it finished. I hope the initial work on the stone was interesting. Working with stone does give a few more options to knife handle making.